Javan Chara with a spin across the face of goal. It's dropped invitingly and it's slammed home. Araujo is in with the Celtic fans. A day that could have been fraught with danger. It was fraught with danger. But look at Celtic now. But look at Celtic now! But look at Celtic now!
I'm angry, aye, of course I am. I'm not quite sure whether I get 7 minutes for. I think you just make it up these days.
This is what Celtic's about.
But look at Celtic now! But look at Celtic now!
There's some spirit in the team, there's no question about that. And it's not just a fluke.
I'm angry, aye, of course I am. I'm not quite sure whether I get 7 minutes for.
And it's not just a fluke.
This is what Celtic's about.
But look at Celtic now! But look at Celtic now! But look at Celtic now!
This is what Celtic's about.
The East End of Glasgow, once again, the destination, the host of the Late Show.
Hello and welcome to the Cynic Weekly. I'm your host, Christopher Gallagher. It's the 18th of February 2026. It's Wednesday, the day before a big Europa League game. There's lots to talk about. We've got news. We're going to talk about the Kilmarnock game. We're going to talk about the weekend results. We're going to look ahead to Stuttgart. We've got some insight from a Stuttgart supporter as well, so lots to talk about. I'm delighted to say I am joined by the one, the only, Barry Gallagher. Hello, Barry. How are you, sir?
Very well, thanks. Lovely to be in person once again, and lots to get through tonight, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Barry has his ashes, of course, and it's, I have to say, it's a perfect cross. Usually it's usually a smudge, but it's a cross. Looks great.
A fair old dollop.
Yeah, like a fair old dollop. And we've got a fair old dollop of stuff to talk about. We're also joined by the one, the only, Christopher Tiberius Boud. Hello, Boudy. How the hell are you?
Hello, hail. Aye, I'm great. That is incredibly. It's usually just a thumbprint of a but that is a cross. Favell's done incredible work there.
He has indeed.
Aye, good. Looking forward to enjoying myself before we get pumped tomorrow. So I'm just gonna as happy as I can.
Bit of enthusiasm there.
No, delighted to be the Stuttgart fan here to provide.
Yes,
insight.
Boud will give insight. Off to a bad start.
Leonard Boud.
Big Leonard Boudy. Listen, the weekend was outrageous. It was outstanding. It was disappointing. It was confusing. We get a few kind of questions to open up, but the first question, obviously, Celtic won with the last kind of kick of the ball from the Mexican Matador. For opening question is, does Sunday give you any renewed optimism for the upcoming fixtures, or are you still feeling as you did before the game? Barry, let's start with you. What did Sunday do for you?
Actually, it has. I just feel that the scenes at the end, incredible. It's quite sort of staggering how far it's reached when you see it with foreign commentary. I don't believe somebody said it was a Mexican, but I
think it's Portuguese. Yeah.
So, but you see sort of generic football pages in England, like some of them full of praise, some of them struggling to understand like how we can still celebrate like that after all the success we've had, and I think that kind of swats away that sort of jibe. But how do they, like, do you not get bored of it, kind of thing? But I think we have loads of new players, most of them on loan, sadly, but that's by the by. I think if they didn't realise how big a club Celtic was, they do now. And just those, I can't ever remember a celebration as wild as that. I know we've had loads down the years, but just players in the crowd, all the photographs, the footage from the unique angling and the thing Celtic put out last night about the kind of on the match thing. But it has given me that, whether I'm foolish or not, or an old romantic, but I feel like we were talking before we came on there. If that can't give us a lift, then what can? And yeah, I think that, as you mentioned, there are things to be concerned about. We all know that. We don't hide away from that. But just that resilience, and that's maybe something you can't buy. It's maybe the Martin O'Neill effect. I think it's definitely the Martin O'Neill effect. And if we could just even be a wee bit better, we would be in far better fettled than we are, because it's not good for the ticker. I think I said that on the reaction on Sunday. But you just see the lift it gives everyone, and there does feel like a buzz about the place. And I know we'll come on to talk about the next fixture and tomorrow night. It almost feels in a way that that's getting in the way, because there's a number of players that can't play, etc.
That's a worry.
It is, yeah. But the point that Alan always makes is that you have to raise your levels for these particular games, and Stuttgart are going really well, as we'll come on to. And if we can put in a good performance tomorrow, then you would hope that that level would still kind of spill into the weekend as well. I think it's good that we've got a home game coming up. So yeah, I do have renewed optimism. I think it's just those images, like it made me remember why we all love Celtic, why we love football, and there's very few things in the world that can make you feel that good, even on the back of how poor we were. It was just a shot in the arm, a wee sort of jolt to remember, like, we are in this together. And just kind of lastly, the footage of Callum McGregor saying we're not fucking going anywhere, I loved that. Whether that's the truth, only time will tell, but I really love that togetherness, and I think every Celtic fan you speak to this week is just buzzing after that. And we must have watched, I know it's an old cliche, but I must have watched the Araujo's goal multiple hundred times already, and it just feels really nice. So hopefully it is the sort of catalyst, famous last words, for us to kind of go on a bit of a run now.
I have watched his celebration more than the goal, I think.
Yeah.
Boudy, have we turned a corner?
Aye, I hope so. There's that. Let's not be silly here. There's a lot wrong with that
let's
squad.
Be silly. Come on.
Let's be
What
silly.
we doing
But
here?
it's definitely, we've had a number of last minute goals, and as great as they are, the last few, it's been a bit. We have been turgid for 90 minutes or so, and it's great and all, but you can't do that. But there were a few differences at the weekend. Obviously, we're 2-0 down at half time. The second half performance overall is a lot better. Coming back for 2 down with that last minute goal is, as you say, I was jumping about like a madman. That was something different to what we've had, and I think Araujo adds to that as well. He goes full.
He's fucking cool, man. He's a cool looking dude, man.
Bloody love him.
And his tattoo?
Yes,
Big tattoo in his back. Some boy.
Don't know about that. There's a lot going on.
I mean, it's a busy tattoo, certainly.
But aye, incredible.
The game itself, I mean, look, we have broken it down. If you want to sign up to the Cynic.co, or you can go to the Patreon and sign up for the Cynic, we have broken it down.
Patreon's still kicking a ball.
It's still kicking a ball. They'll Patreon you. You're more than welcome. But Cynic.co is where the kind of main outlet is. We've discussed the game in detail. We do the debrief every Tuesday, in which we kind of break down the game at the weekend in a little bit more detail. But I think that, let me ask you this, Barry. In fact, no, let's go with Boudy first. The changes in personnel, was it just the changes in personnel that made the difference?
I think that's a huge part of it, certainly. The players that come in, obviously have a huge impact. The players that were replaced were not. But there's probably a little bit of Martin O'Neill shouting at you at half-time magic going on there as well.
Yeah.
And whether it is just maybe that mentality's there where the players that were on the fields realised that they had to do something different. But I think the subs are a huge part of that. And even at the time, I think we're all delighted when you see that. We're not waiting to the 60th minute, 65th minute to make a change. It had to be done. And all praise to Martin O'Neill.
All hail Martin O'Neill.
Yes, and Sean Maloney.
Oxlade-Chamberlain came on, Tunetke came on, and Shivan Chara came on. They came on at half-time. They replaced Rio Hatate, Yang, and Adamu. Barry, as Boudy said, it was probably as much to do with Martin O'Neill just rallying the troops and maybe giving them a shot up the arse as it did with the personnel. But the personnel did make a difference. It seemed like there was more quality on the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's kind of been encouraging for me is that there has been an acknowledgement by both the players and the management staff that it wasn't good enough in the first half. And I think that those players injected something straight away. The Oxlade-Chamberlain pass through to Manchester straight away. I know. I think if it maybe been 5 minutes further on in the game, I'm not so sure he would have taken it first time. But I like that confidence from both of them. Taneke, I think O'Neill kind of alluded to it, that he probably shouldn't have dropped him from the Livingston game. And I think he is becoming quite crucial. I think there's still a long way to go for him. Sometimes I think he holds on to the ball a wee bit too long. But that strike was incredible. And
outstanding.
I think O'Neill will probably have learned more. I know he said in the press conference today he's still very much learning about the players and what they're good at and what kind of makes them tick and stuff like that. So I think those three players moving forward, obviously, as we mentioned, Oxlade-Chamberlain isn't in the squad for tomorrow, but in terms of domestic games, I think you would see them now start more than most. But yeah, it was good, and I think Boud's right. I think O'Neill, his probably main strength is a motivator, and it'd be interesting maybe if Touchwood we are successful, if there's maybe like a sort of more credence or more insight given to what he actually said. I know over the years we've heard about how good his team talk was at Anfield. I remember he said, like, he went round the players and said, like, Sean Maloney's just a boy and this might be his last chance at a European final or whatever. But yeah,
he's got one coming up this year.
That's true. The two of them together, lovely. But yeah, I think the players, the individuals definitely contributed to it, but they gave the players around him a lift as well, because I think, as Boud said, the levels of everyone went up in the second half. It wouldn't be hard because the baseline was so poor. But yeah, I think it's a culmination of both those three players giving us a lift at half time and whatever the management team said.
I think, and we've discussed this, and I'm sure everyone kind of made up their own mind, but Boud, the defensive display from the two centre halves and the goalkeeper, obviously it was Trusty, Scales and Kasper Schmeichel's in goals. I think most people were, before the window closed, most people were more concerned with getting strikers in and getting wingers in. And I think a lot of people, including a number of us, were all really keen on getting another kind of central midfielder in, which we did when obviously Oxlade-Chamberlain comes in after the window. But we didn't put down centre half as priority just because there was other priorities. But does it now look like maybe because young Arthur's came in, but he looks more like cover? How worried are you about how we are performing defensively?
Yeah, it's a huge concern. It was a concern before the window, to be honest, and it still is. And we've seen at points this season, Scales and Trusty will have games and they'll look great. And they'll
usually in Italy, so
we're
playing a lot of Italian teams. Maybe the semis, are there?
But when they're off, and I'm just it's a massive concern. Same for Schmeichel as well.
Schmeichel looks done.
Yeah, I mean, incredible first season, but for me, as I say, I'm pretty much already at the point where I'd happily just be playing Sinisalo. Obviously, he might get 2 games and I'll change my mind instantly about that. But Schmeichel doesn't look there. Trusty and Scales are a massive worry. I would happily take Tierney moving into centre back and Sirachi taking that left back slot. But yeah, I would say it's a big priority for the window in the summer. But I think the window in the summer
it's miles away at this point,
and it's I think there's 11 players that we're probably going to have to buy and come the window in the summer.
And we'll probably do an episode where we kind of look at the squad in a little bit more depth and actually look at what realistically we will be going out and what will be coming in. Barry, you look at Scales and Trusty, and obviously last season Brendan Rodgers famously caught on camera calling Trusty weak as piss. That's how they both kind of feel now. It seems like every phase of play, they seem to not make the right decision, go to the ball when they shouldn't, go to the man when they shouldn't, and vice versa. Like Bowdy suggested, they're playing Tierney at centre back. It's not going to happen it doesn't feel like. But do you think anything will change, or do you think we will persevere with them to try and get through? Because Arthur doesn't have a lot of game experience either.
Yeah, I think it's more likely that we will kind of try and play them through this bad kind of vein of form. But it's a difficult one because, as you said, Europe has probably been both of the players in question's finest hours for us. You think back to even Bologna a few weeks ago, that Trusty was immense in that, but it's weird because you can say it's a lack of concentration, but you have to be so on it in Europe. I don't know, maybe if they take their eye off the ball a wee bit domestically, and I saw some people say you've got to allow for the pitch, but
come on.
As you say, everything they were doing, like the most sort of high profile one I think I trusted was when that ball bounced over his head.
That was embarrassing.
Yeah, and you could see it coming a mile off. But like you say, I don't know if it's a confidence thing, because even the basic things, they're not doing them right, and I feel like they get in each other's way as well. I think I said on the reaction, like, I think it sticks out more when you've got two left-sided centre-halves than you would have if you had two right-sided. And then I suppose if you move Tierney in, there's another left-sided centre-half as well. So I think one of the things we were crying out for in the window was a right-footed centre-half. We do have Arthur, but as you say, he's very inexperienced, and I don't think it's the type of run of games we have now where you can just drop him in. Probably the opportunity to have done that would have been in the Cup, but it never happened. And yeah, so for that reason I think we're just going to have to play him through it. And in terms of Schmeichel, yeah, it doesn't look good, the free kick where he just, like, I've got this covered and it smashes off the bar.
Remember Higuita against England?
He did
I thought he was trying to do something like that. I don't know, like
Scorpion?
Some weird hand thing.
You think, because obviously they've been, it's not like the weekend was the first time they both looked poor, but do you think the kind of change in midfield where you've got Nygren and Hatate starting and it's a bit more attacking, do you think that's impacted?
They've got less
cover.
They're more exposed?
Yeah.
Potentially. We seem to, in that first half, there seemed to be a lot of balls played down our kind of right flank. Yeah, our right flank. And it kind of felt like Scales was so quick to get over to the ball and get over to the man as soon as it was played into that area, to the point where it was just, he seemed to be getting dragged out of position. Is that because there's less protection? Maybe. But I think the decision making is just really poor. And
I think, as you say though, I just don't see Arthur getting a chance, especially what's the business end of the season. Every game. But
see, if the other two are making, if they're making mistakes all the time, like
address that. But I think that's easier making a change in midfield or making a change to a winger than it is your centre back pairing or your goalkeeper.
That's a fair point.
As I say, I would drop both of them in a heartbeat, to be honest.
I know, but
Dane Murray and Arthur step forward. I don't care. Go for it.
Absolutely not. I'd rather play with no centre halves. Barry, you didn't thought there. Anything?
I was just thinking how terrifying that would be. I'd also try to think of something Arthur Murray, like a law firm or something, or a Mackenzie and debt collector.
Okay, okay, sure. We'll stick on that. This is from Vinny. Vinny sent a message in last week for the weekly. Good evening all. It's been a while. Just wondered if the rest of the guys have any real belief, given the performances we are seeing regularly against the lower teams, that this team and the style under this manager and this management can handle a title run in. I am terrified of what we could see happen once the split happens, and it's all the more informed teams we have to face game to game. So that brings us on to the run of fixtures we have, because they are scary, Barry.
Yeah.
You've got Stuttgart on Thursday, then you get Hibs at home, then you get Stuttgart away, then you've got Rangers, then you've got Rangers away. So it's Stuttgart away, Rangers away, Aberdeen away, Rangers away, Motherwell at home. This is before the split. What are your confidence levels? Is it almost better to play against teams that are going to attack you and maybe give more space in behind and space you can run into with some of the players we have?
Yeah, I think so. And just going back to the point I was talking about, like how Trusty and Scales, when they have to concentrate for 90 minutes, do tend to be better. Just kind of maybe clutching at straws, that hoping that the bigger profile games as those fixtures undoubtedly are would maybe help do that. you probably need, I know you shouldn't really need this as a professional footballer playing for Celtic, but the bigger the occasion, the players might rise to that as a collective. But yeah, I think it is scary. Like, see, sometimes you don't want to get too bogged down looking too far ahead, because it is. And I think even on a normal season where Celtic would be kind of firing all cylinders, these fixtures would still be daunting.
Yep.
But adding the lottery of you don't know what we're going to get, as we've just seen playing the sort of lesser teams in the league, we look nervous every time the ball goes into our own half. But yeah, I'm hoping that the bigger the game, the more that the new players get used to the club, hoping that Martin O'Neill can eke out some more magic from them. Yeah. And one thing that probably is more prevalent now than ever is one game at a time. And I know that's the oldest cliche in football, but I think you can't look too far ahead, because not only would it scare put the shiters up you don't know what's going to happen. So I think, I'm just pulling out the bag of cliches tonight, but it does feel like every single game is season defining.
Yeah.
Across 3 different competitions. So if you are to look too far ahead, it probably doesn't do you any favours.
Yeah, Boud. Also, Motherwell is a team that, don't get me wrong, have been up and down over the last maybe 5 or 6 years. They are one of the top teams in the country. So even a game against Motherwell at Celtic Park last year, a couple of years before, you'd be like, well, that's a bit of a banker. No, it's not.
No, absolutely not. Spoken a few other pods about the fact Motherwell may be unlucky that they didn't take some chances earlier in the season. They would definitely be in this this title push, which could still happen. There could still be a collapse from other teams involved.
All of them. There could be a collapse from Celtic, Rangers, and Hearts.
We won't collapse.
Hearts and Rangers. They could finish second.
But yeah, and I was going to say, it's good for Scottish football. That's terrible. What's best for Scottish football is that Celtic win every game
100-0. Yeah. Fuck Scottish football.
Yeah, it is. And it is worrying, as Barry was touching on as well. I mean, we've been getting the results the last few weeks, but it has been against teams that should be absolute gimmies, and it has not been a gimme in any.
I think that's the thing. Before these games, I think we were all like, we could score a few goals here for work out with the goal difference. Goal difference could be crucial, and it's not worked out that way. But I just hope, and I'm praying that steel sharpens steel. Was that the phrase? Where actually, playing against a higher level of opposition will bring out the best in these players. Because as much as these players haven't been on form, and as much as these players have struggled, they have still won titles. They are still a bunch of players that have done it when the chips were down, and then you bring Oxlade-Chamberlain into that, Barry, who's won European Cups, and you look at we added 1% where we've got an advantage because we've won titles and Hearts and Rangers haven't. Maybe that gives us a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, and there was the thing that came out just after the window closed that I think nearly all of that, maybe Arthur aside, that all of the players that came in on loan have won a title in some form. But in terms of Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think he's going to be so important. I think you could see his quality on Sunday straight away. He just wants the ball all the time, and it's obviously the fitness and match fitness that we want to get him up to speed. But I think he will go a long way to helping McGregor in there, who again I don't think was particularly great on Sunday. So I think he needs all the help he can get, because as Boud said, with Hatate and Nygren, it's just leaving McGregor and the two centre-halves kind of exposed. I think Engels, I know some people, he's not everyone's favourite player, but I think he covers a lot of ground. Yep. Even just positionally where he is, like by the nature of where he is, it kind of helps us stop attacks against us. So, yeah, I think his experience and his quality will be really important. And it's just a case of how quickly you can build him up, because ideally I'd like potentially for him to start at the game at Ibrox.
Well, see, this is. I want to ask you both, and I don't want to jump too far ahead to the Stuttgart game, but we've got Stuttgart at home, then we've got Hibs away. Hibs at home, Stuttgart at home, Hibs at home, Stuttgart away, and then Rangers away. So it's Thursday, Sunday, right? Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Do you bring him in for the Hibs game and you start him? or do you? But this is the thing. What I'm trying to say is, obviously, he can't play against Stuttgart. So it's like you get the Stuttgart midfield, then you're not going to have the Stuttgart midfield, then you're going to have the Stuttgart midfield. So Hatate, as an example, plays against Stuttgart, doesn't play against Hibs, and then drops for Ibrox. It's just managing that's a pain.
It is, but I think you absolutely start Oxlade. I think, from point of view, as Barry said, we want to get as much minutes into his legs as possible. So he's getting
before Ibrox.
Yep. And just because he's instantly became one of the best players that we have. Also, from the point of view, if you're looking to do it for Stuttgart, well, I don't think he's necessarily getting 90 minutes, and even if he is, you can give, if it's Hatate you've dropped, you can give him time by subbing off, whether it's McGregor or Negan or somebody
So
else.
you start him and then bring him off, maybe, yeah.
Exactly. Because, as you see, that's a run of games. We've then got more games coming after that,
and then a split.
You're gonna have to be using a bit of rotation anyway. So, I wouldn't be overly concerned about that, and not to sound pessimistic or a big Debbie Downer, but that's horrible chat. I won't ever say
Debbie
that
Downer, get fucked.
But I think the European ties are probably the lowest priority for us right now, because things have become such a fucking shit show.
If it was up to you, we'd be fucking out.
I think though, see, in terms of who would come in, because obviously the Ox can't play, you could say that the management team might lay down the gauntlet to them, like if you can really impress in the home leg, then I'll keep you in for Sunday, and the same in the away leg for Ibrox, with the knowledge though that if they don't, you've got Ox to come in. So you could spin it to an advantage, and as Boud says, we're going to need to use the squad creatively, I think, over the next 4 or 5 weeks anyway. So his freshness and maybe the fact that he will be purely focused on the domestic scene might work in our benefit.
Yeah, I mean, he's fit, he's just not match fit. And
100%.
It might have actually been beneficial if he could have played maybe not even in the first leg. If you played him in the Hibs game, you played him in the game in Stuttgart, take him off after 60 minutes, and then you could start him at Ibrox. And they still probably will start him at Ibrox. I'd like him to have more minutes in his legs. I just want to say one thing about the support on Kilmarnock, against Kilmarnock. Martin O'Neill made a comment about how it was the support getting us through as much as anything. There was a meeting today between the collective and the club, and I'm sure there'll be something out as we have released the podcast, but we're recording before anything's been released. We're led to believe that our understanding is the ban is to continue and that there was no breakthrough, and so the Green Brigade won't be back anytime soon, and fan media will still be banned. Barry, it's just counterproductive.
That is, and O'Neill was saying in the press conference today that he believed that some progress had been made, and obviously that goes against what we're hearing. So, yeah, I think O'Neill was clear to point out, like you say, that we wouldn't have got the 3 points on Sunday without the effort that the support put in. And I wasn't at the game Sunday, but from speaking to people I know that were there, saying there was at no point did the support ever really turn on the team. It was even at half time singing and constant reinforcement of sort of positive messages from the fans, and you could hear the singing coming through loud and clear. So it is really disappointing, particularly with tomorrow night and Sunday. Sunday in particular feels like a massive game ahead of all those away games. So feels like an own goal, but it's not surprising with the way the board have conducted themselves this season.
Boud, the atmosphere at Celtic Park at the moment is just not what we are used to, specifically big European nights. It's just devastating.
Well, I think if the fans and the fan media and the ultras could all just show a bit of unity, we would just get through this, all right, guys? I think that's what's lacking here. No, it's disgusting, but it's no surprise. We know what the board are. As you say, it's very much cutting your nose off to spite your face, but it's just pathetic little men with pathetic little egos telling lies repeatedly. And that's a very simple way of figuring out. A lot of times it shades of grey. It's not as simple as right and wrong. See if one side continually spin lies and talk nonsense, they're in the wrong and they know they're in the wrong, and that's where the board are. the fans want the Green Brigade back. The manager and the players, I'm sure, want the Green Brigade back. And it sounds as if Martin O'Neill's just been fed a line like the rest of the fans are about, oh, we're close, we'll get there.
Tell them this.
Yeah.
Placate them this way. Just make it seem like we're working at something.
It's
just
pathetic.
It really is. Question: is Neil McCann the biggest throbber in the league? Just a yes or no.
Yes.
Boud?
I'm not giving you a yes or no. What I'll tell you is one of the greatest things about the game at the weekend was thinking back to his smug, ratty little face, particularly after the first goal. Actually, I think it was even worse than the second, and then just getting that third goal. He was raging. Great joy in that.
Not to go all Charlie Mulgrew meme, he was absolutely raging. It was great to see.
It was, yeah. And just the sort of, they made up the time and all that.
The Fenian time, it's coming to get you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just nonsense. I mean, I don't really engage with any Rangers fans online or in real life, frankly. But people...
Well, Rangers get more added time than Celtic do this season. Also, as anybody that's watched our games knows, when we get added time, it's because there's been 10 subs, 5 goals.
Yeah.
If, you know what, see if referees didn't give other teams a licence to hack our players, there would probably be less fouls and injuries and less added time. So,
yeah, absolutely. And if you think that, it's just daft, it's a lot of pish, frankly. We got a question from our good friend Troy. Troy says, hi to the Cynic Weekly crew. What's the panel's half-term report for each of the recent intake? Who is producing excellent work? And who needs to show improvement? Thanks for so many great pods. Hail, hail, Troy. So, players who've came in. Who's doing well? Who's not? So let's talk about the players that came in since January. So our very good friend, the Mexican maestro himself, Julián.
Exceptional, yeah. I think that it was clear that was one of our problem areas ever since Alistair Johnson got injured. And yeah, I think the reports we kind of got when he came in was that he was very good offensively, but not so good defensively. I would go maybe the other way about. I think he's been more impressive defensively than he has been offensively. Obviously, with the massive caveat that he did score the winner inside the opposition box on Sunday. But I just think he's solid. I think he wins his aerial duels. He's always shown for the ball. And I would be delighted, I know we might touch on that as it comes on, but I'd be delighted if we could sort of make him a priority to sign him in the summer.
About our own Mexican luchador, Julián Araujo.
100% agree with that. I think he is our best player since he's arrived. I don't think there's much competition, but he's been excellent. I'd go all out to sign him. If it costs 10 million, spend 10 million. I've heard people talking about
10 million, calm down.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't. I'm just saying they will not spend 10 million.
No, of course they won't. But
that's so annoying, though, isn't it? Because in the modern game, in particular, us, like the fullbacks are expected to do a lot of the sort of build-up play and stuff like that.
I think Celtic fullbacks for our club. It's one of the most important positions.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was going to say, because I've heard a wee bit of both him and Sarachi. I can't believe I am telling someone how to say Sarachi, it's Araha. Any other questions about pronunciations you can ask me.
Okay, Boud.
Yeah, but because we'll get AJ, because it's Tierney, you can't spend money on them. How about Celtic have the ambition to have two good players
for each position?
In every position, let alone two of the most important positions in our team.
And then the quality never drops when you make a sub.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So El Grande Americano, big tick. Big Thomas Shabanchara. Boud, you first.
You got that right. Well done.
Thanks very much.
I really like him. There's still obviously there's room to grow there. I don't think he's the finished article quite yet. But he's, as I say, he's bringing effort. You know what? It's just because he's a big tall guy. That's the main reason
that neck
I like
is
him.
Insane. It's like the X-Files, the Toombs guy.
Aye, but no, he does. He obviously, I'd have liked him to score a few more goals, but he's creating goals, and he's Aye, I'm all for him. I'd happily keep him as well.
See what he did in the last
Based on
seconds. But see what he did in the last seconds of the game against Kilmarnock. That might just be worth him coming in. Yourself, Barry?
Yeah, I really like him as well, and I think his hold-up play is good and kind of wee layoffs and stuff, and to take that throw-in on the outside of his foot and then spin round, he's got really good movement as well, and I know that was what he said when he signed. Like he doesn't really see himself as a target man, he's more of a sort of link man, and his pace and stuff. So he's created 2 real important goals already. As Boud says, we'd like him to score more, but I think that'll come. And I know he did the interview with the club this week, and he spoke really well, and I think he's keen to stay if at all possible. So yeah, I kind of think what we hoped going into this window, because as Boud alluded to earlier, we're going to have one hell of a rebuild job in the summer, and if you can have these guys who are showing something, that's kind of quick wins, because you're going to need to build a squad from somewhere rather than start from scratch on the 1st of July.
You see, it's a quick win. The board will wait until
sign him on the 2nd of September
for £9 million.
Yes.
What I like how, see, I saw the interview he did the Celtic official podcast thing, and he's like, I want to stay here. Just like, I want to stay here. Let's get it done, as opposed to I'll keep my options open, and who knows. I like the fact he's like, let's stay here. Junior Adamu, obviously he hasn't has a smaller sample size. Boud, you want to come in?
Yeah, no, well, obviously I just don't think we can make much of a judgment on him, but a bit like you're saying with that, that's enough, those 2 that he's created. That back heel, that's him done. All he needs to do, really.
Well, he kept us in the Scottish Cup.
Yep.
Barry, anything from Kelly that scares you? What is he?
Yeah, again, like, it's probably...
It's too little to write him off on a poor 45 minutes.
I wasn't really encouraged by anything that I saw from him on Sunday, but it's early days, and I think I said maybe last week, I would like if there was an opportunity. I'm not one of these guys that 4-4 fucking 2.
Fucking into it. I'm fucking into it,
but I'd like if there was an opportunity at some point, even if it was later in the game, to see the 2 of them on the pitch together. But yeah, it's early days, and that back heel, as you say, was exquisite. But
from now, you're starting with Tam, and Adam who's hopefully getting some minutes to prove himself later on.
If you play 4-4-2, actually, just because you've got 2 strikers on the pitch, it doesn't mean you'll score more goals.
Aye, it does.
Aye, double the amount of goals, actually, mate.
I'd like to believe it's
mathematics.
Score more goals. Benjamin Arthur, we've not seen yet, so obviously we can't make a judgment on him. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think he's a big tick from everybody. The players were talking about him. Of course,
Henrik Koo, that's what I'm saying.
It's a midfielder.
Don't get carried away, but he's better than Bobby Murdoch.
Is that right? Oh, Jesus, you guys are. Barry's been going to a spa with him as well.
I loved it.
How, did he look good?
He was doing that wee dance up the stairs.
Talk about videos. I've watched him and his wife, his partner. Joel Mvuka obviously made his debut in the Dundee game, get hooked at half time.
And we never saw him again.
There's apparently there's rumour and innuendo that he's been injured, but even if he hasn't been, even if you look at it from the point of view of like we hadn't signed Oxlade-Chamberlain by the time he made his debut and all that, and you look at Martin O'Neill seems to be like, I need you to work for me, and if you don't, you're out. I mean, what do you call him, Balakwisha? Because when Martin O'Neill was leaving, he was like, I didn't play Balakwisha. He could be good. I don't know.
And he played him against Auchinleck, and that was enough.
He was not very good.
Big make-a-wisher.
Yeah, it's not bad. Mvuka, we're not going to make any judgment on whether he's a good player or not, or whether he's going to be successful or not. I'm just going to ask you what your expectations are. Do you expect to see him play any sort of important minutes over the next 10 games?
Well, over 10 games maybe, just because our wingers aren't. We're not in a position where we've got an excess of great wingers. But yeah, of all obviously with the exception of Ben Arthur, who's we've not seen anything of, I think he's probably least likely to get extra minutes. He didn't have a great start. What I would say, to give a wee alternative opinion, there was a few wee moments, there was a few wee turns and bursts of pace that I was like, oh, wait a minute,
Was that before or after he couldn't control the ball after 2 years?
Yeah, well, there's that as well. But come on,
This pace was him chasing after his first touch.
it was like Mr. Perfect. It was the perfect pass. He was passing to himself. All right,
The perfect record. You called him Ben Arthur, right? And I just think of Ben Arthur,
Newcastle.
Newcastle player. So don't do that. His name's Benjamin.
Big Benji.
Barry, yourself and Vuka.
It doesn't look great for him, and
That was almost the he's a wee soul.
yeah,
line.
but I just obviously time will tell, but I'm glad we never paid the $4 million which was supposed to happen.
Yeah, that was lucky break.
Their incompetence actually benefited us for once. Thanks for that question, Troy. Really good. Obviously, Rangers beat Hearts at the weekend. So the table, Hearts are top, 27 games played, 57 points. Rangers are second, 27 games played, 55 points. Celtic are third, 26 games played, 54 points. If we win our game in hand, we will go joint with Hearts. Just looking at our goal difference, we have 48 goals for, 26 against. We've got a goal difference of 22. Rangers have a goal difference of 26. And I think Hearts have got a goal difference of 26 as well. So we're 4 behind. It feels it's going to be tough to make that up, those 4 goals, unless we, batter. Because we look like we're going to concede. As much as we might score, it looks like we're going to concede as well.
Yeah, and I think with the run of games that as we've mentioned already, those aren't the type of games where you would expect to rack up the goals. And I think just now, we have mentioned a lot in the pods that this season kind of feels different from others, where it's kind of you need to focus on the here and now and kind of week to week, as I said earlier. I think we just need to get the points on the board, and then hopefully with maybe a couple of 2 or 3 games before the split that we can try and rack up the goals. Then obviously I'd be delighted if we could do it against Aberdeen, Rangers and Motherwell, but those games seem unlikely. So if you were to offer me right now, I would take the point straight away, even if it was winning by 1 goal, and try and sort out the goal difference later, because I think there is a good chance that it might come down to that this year, particularly with the split. I think we said last week, Gal, that this is the first time that the split actually seems as if it's going to be doing what it was brought in for.
Yeah, absolutely. But as Barry says, we don't know how clinical it could come down to, whether it's goals scored, whether it goes for, whether it's points. But does the goal difference could be crucial? We've said it jokingly for years, but it feels like it could be crucial.
Absolutely could. Obviously, it's very close, but
Hearts are going to drop off.
I think there'll be an element of that. I think they'll definitely drop some points. I think Rangers, again, will definitely drop some points. Unfortunately, I think there's a good chance we might, but actually we're winning every game at the end of the season.
Yep.
But as you say, when that split happens, all sorts Motherwell can be taking points off people. We're all going to have to play each other. Maybe not. Maybe Celtic win by about 10.
Imagine if we won by like 5 or 10 points. That'd be fucking great. Barry, in terms of that split, who do you fear most in terms of, obviously Rangers, they're tough and they're going to be a bit best of the rest. Who do you fear? Is it Motherwell?
Yeah, I would say so. And I think the fact that we have Rangers and Hearts at home,
yeah,
we don't really know. I'd imagine we would have to go away to Motherwell, which is difficult, as we saw under Nancy. And yeah, I just think the way Motherwell play, they're going to have a big hand in the title race. Hibs, I think it'd probably be Hibs away as well, which is a ground that hasn't been good to us over the years, even when we've been at our best. And then I'd imagine it could be Falkirk at home, at Falkirk or away. I'm not sure, as things stand, the way the table is now. And I know we went very good there last month. So yeah, I really feel that the split is going to be so difficult, but I just hope we're either just ahead, or even I would accept maybe going into the split 3 points behind, because I think, as Boud says, every teams could potentially take points off each other. So I think it probably will go to the final day, one way or another, and that is terrifying, but if you were to offer me that now, I probably would take it.
Aye, we do reactions to every single game. Let's hope that reaction will be
it's going one of two ways.
I don't know if I could do one after if the worst happened. But nah, it'll be positive, it'll be fine. Couple of news items for you. Julián Araujo, El Grande Americano, as we call him, he has been talking about potentially making a permanent move to Celtic. Here's some quotes. Football is crazy. You know, anything can happen. Right now, I have a contract with Bournemouth, but I'm on loan here for the first 6 months, and I'm happy. I'm enjoying every moment. I'm grateful for this opportunity, and you never know, anything can happen. I let my agent take care of the negotiations, and whatever happens behind the scenes. You know, I just focus on my game and try to give my best for the crest. Best for the crest.
Oof. Upon my chest.
Love it. Whatever football brings me, God is in. Okay, calm down.
Continue with the quote.
Continue. God is in control of my plans, so I'm following his lead. Yeah, so he obviously goes on about how excited he is for, like, you know, the end of the season and all that. Boud, a simple question: if we have the opportunity to sign him, would you? And what sort of price do you think we'd have to pay for him? Bournemouth paid 10 million quid for him.
I think it's 10 million euros. So,
so probably closer to 8-9 million.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we're getting away with paying massively less than that, to be honest. So I think we'd probably be dropping between 8.
What do you think Celtic would pay for him?
I think the board will open up with 4 million. And
I know you. I don't know you.
No, that's not a joke. I mean, 4.5.
Second bid was the 3.5.
You're wasting your own time here, Bournemouth.
Andre.
There's also the fact that my cynical brain tells me that's him just telling us what we want to hear.
I don't care, I'll take it.
But yeah, my heart does just say, yeah, absolutely, he's signed up. He wants to play for the Pope's 11, and who can blame him?
I mean, literally.
But I would, as I say, 100% I'd sign him. 100%. I would have no problem spending 10 million pounds to bring up with Celtic. Not a problem.
Barry, you kind of alluded that you would as well. Do you think...
I'm going to regret that one in 5 years.
I think the board would maybe go to 6. I don't know why I've got that figure in my head. Whether that'd be enough, because it could be the Adamida effect where you've really shot yourself in the foot with not having an option to buy, and then because of the success that he's had, then Bournemouth might say, well, we want our money back at least, or even more.
6 plus Ralston.
I was just... Ralston was coming into...
O'Neill always kind of tells that story about when he came the first time, that he tried to convince Viduka to stay, but when Viduka was going, they basically just gave the money we got from Leeds to Chelsea for Sutton. If that happened with Johnson, would we just, whatever fee we get for him, put most of that to... Because I imagine you would get round about 10 million, maybe more for Johnson. Depending on how bad he comes back from his injury.
Personally, I'm not convinced you'd get that for Johnson, just because I think he's a really good player and I really like him, but I don't know. It depends. Depends if he goes to the World Cup and he plays well. Yeah. You know, there's always that kind of factor as well. Yeah. I like Alistair Johnson. I would be very keen to keep Alistair Johnson, have Araujo,
and they can fight it out.
Tierney. Would you buy Sriracha?
I would, yeah. I think that feels like an easier deal to do.
Even with his injuries?
I would do it. I think you could probably get him for 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5, 3. Maybe. Yeah.
Another, we were talking about, you know, Tierney can move into centre back, stuff like that. You've also got Alistair Johnson. Can he either move into a defensive midfield position or a centre back position, or can Sriracha and Araujo go a wee bit further forward? I think they've got enough quality to play.
Calm down, Wilfred Nancy over here. Jesus Christ.
You know how Man City got that sort of stick for playing a back four full of centre backs? We could play a back four full of full backs.
Actually, do you know what? It might improve the team currently. Darren O'Dea. So Darren O'Dea was on Open Goal, and he had some kind of quotes, and I think go and listen to Open Goal if you want to hear the full thing. But here's some quotes from him. It's just mainly on John Kennedy. So he said, I don't know if this is factual, but my understanding was that Rodgers would have left at the end of this season. That would have been the end of his contract. With the way he previously left the club, he certainly wanted to honour his contract. A lot that has happened. It's culminated in Dermot Desmond having enough. I don't know if Brendan went and offered his resignation. Nobody has any idea, blah, 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 blah. Then there is a wipeout. John Kennedy left. Paul Disdale eventually left after that. The amount of change is incredible, but I'm going to make a comment, and I should probably keep this to myself. John Kennedy leaving Celtic is bigger than Brendan Rodgers leaving Celtic in terms of impact. He's been there for 27 years. The staff, that staff there runs to his tune. He runs that staff. Neil Lennon has always put the tag on him, which I thought was great. Chief of Staff. He runs the day-to-day. He's loyal to the manager and does what the manager wants, but he runs the staff, and the staff won't have liked seeing him leave. It does... Obviously, Darren O'Dea was part of Celtic and he was part of that structure and all that. That does kind of maybe show how important maybe John Kennedy was, maybe people not realising, Barry?
Yeah, I think there's a lot in that. And I remember at the time when Rodgers left, McGregor spoke about like how it kind of took the players aback when he spoke about Kennedy at that time as well. And someone that has been there that long, and every manager that has come in has always kind of spoke highly of him, and maybe that is having a bigger impact than we actually thought, because as Darren O'Dea says, the turnover of not only players but staff has been incredible this season, and it's sort of unprecedented that we've lost that amount of staff. And I know that when Rodgers kind of cleared us out when he left for Leicester, Kennedy stayed, and I think the fact that Kennedy went with him, didn't he, to Saudi?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that shows the sort of how Rodgers was able to kind of win him back over when he came. So yeah, it probably is a big loss, and again, it probably doesn't reflect well on the club again that we've lost someone of that sort of stature and the way he's held in high regard by players and staff alike.
But it just shows you, like, with, you know, the fact that Kennedy was probably doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes and he's just picked up and dropped out, that the club kind of don't know how things are run, because clearly that's not that the loose ends haven't been picked up.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think whether it's a manager, as Barry said, or staff and players, whenever they speak about Kennedy, it's always very highly. Here you're finding out just how much he has to do, and I think it was, I have no idea what was going on in the club, but it seems again to me just like a petty, or you're part of Rodgers' team, are you? You're gone
done,
as well.
you're done too.
Even though, as you say, he's been at the club for decades. He's huge, and again, I'm not going to say it would have made a difference to the disaster that was Nancy, but you've got to think his time would have been a lot easier and probably more effective if he had a coach in there that knew.
Speak to the players.
Yeah.
You know, someone who can come in between.
Board.
Sounding
Exactly.
board. This is how we've done it. This is, maybe you don't want to change it too much too quick and all that.
Exactly, able to point out, right, this is where you're going to struggle to bring that in, or and also selling any new coach to the rest of the staff and the players and all that.
Yeah.
So I think
kind
that's
of two-way street, isn't it? Because Kennedy would have protected the players, probably, like, relaying what their fears were to Nancy, but also he could have probably said to the players that this guy's methods are good, they might come good eventually, but we're going to find a sort of middle ground. But just removing him has kind of torn all of that away. And the fact that Darren O'Dea, he was the Pathways manager, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah.
So you'd imagine they would have had a good relationship. I know they played together. So Maloney probably feels that he's a loss as well, because I know that they've got a good relationship personally as well. So yeah, it does seem a bit short-sighted, but as Boud says, we'll probably never know what was going on, whether they maybe asked him to choose between the club and Rodgers or whatever, or he was out. So who knows?
I worry about that position moving forward in terms of a new manager coming in and there not being that conduit between the player. And I'm not saying that you need that. I'm not saying that without John Kennedy, Celtic are fucked or anything, but I'm not sure the club will think about that idea of someone to kind of sit in the middle, or someone around who knows the squad and knows the club.
well, you've got Dermot Desmond, so
I thought you were going to say Gavin Strachan.
Hey, did you hear what on that interview Darren O'Dea says that only Gordon Strachan told him the only reason I'm picking you, son, is because you're the only person that Aidan McGeady listens to.
Oofed.
And so I think it was like he was getting picked so that he could tell McGeady to drop back and defend. Pretty funny.
that's some man management.
It is, indeed. He's not our favourite, but there we go. A couple of we've got some news stuff from Liam Scales and Louis Palmer, but we'll leave that for the moment. We'll pick that up probably later on Friday. Question. We're going to move on to Stuttgart and stuff now, but here's my question for you. A year ago today, Celtic took on Bayern Munich, and obviously we were 1-0 up until the very last kick of the ball, and then we went out. Do you foresee Celtic getting back to that level anytime soon. And I guess that level is not just the Champions League, but it's like winning away from home. No, not winning, but going to a playoff game against a European behemoth and performing really well and almost deserving to go to extra time. What's your thoughts on that, Boud?
I think if you'd asked me that question a week or two ago, I'd say no, we're years away from having any chance of getting back to that. Things can change quickly. Again, I don't have confidence that this board is going to make the right decision for our next manager and make the commitment of cash and time and energy and getting the right staff in to get the right transfer window done in this summer, because as we said, it's a rebuild. But you look at when Ange came in, he had a job to do and he managed to bring in a huge number of players who, not all, but a chunk of them were very, very effective. So we could be fortunate, get the right manager, get the right recruitment team, have the board decide to spend a significant amount of money and get in the half a dozen to a dozen players that we're really going to need to strengthen this squad. As we were talking about earlier, out of this half a dozen kind of loan players, we might not get any of them, but there are a good few of them where you're thinking, you know what, they're ready. We if we bring in Sarachi, if we bring in Araujo, we bring in Tam, these are guys that could be part of a really good squad. So I'm a bit more optimistic than I was maybe a couple of weeks ago, but it's still a massive, massive job, and the likelihood is it's probably not going to happen.
Barry?
Yeah, I think what frustrates me is we'd added to that squad 2 or 3 signings of real quality. I think even if we'd replaced Kyogo in the January window, I think people forget seeing that first half in Munich. We had 4 kind of gilt-edged chances. I remember Alan Shearer was kind of on co-commentary and he was blown away with how good we were. I think Jota was brilliant that night. Dyson missed a couple of chances, and Kuhn had the one where he went round, had it round the goalie. There just wasn't enough power on it. And it's so frustrating because if you think, say we'd spent 15-20 million on 3 players to go straight into that team, I think we could have
taken the next level.
We could have potentially gone, at the very least, gone through to the playoff stage in the Champions League again this year. But what really annoys me is that, as Boud says, we're probably going to have a full reset this summer coming, which will be 18 months after that tie, and then we'll probably now have to spend more money than we would have, to rebuild a whole squad than we would have to buy these 3 or 4 quality Champions League sort of ready players.
The money we lost by not qualifying for the Champions League would have covered the money we would have. We would have ended up making more money by spending money to make money.
Yeah, and even if you, at the very least, maybe you don't go as well as last year, but those players that if you'd signed them would have had another year of Champions League football, so you build year on year. Some years you might go back a wee bit, but the fact that we try and do everything on the cheap, it takes us forever to sign players. It just feels that we seem to have to do this sort of rebuild more often than not. And then even if you were sort of buying players and they did kind of show up really well in the Champions League this year, if you had to sell them on, so be it. But just this sort of short-termism means that every 18 months, 2 years, we have to rebuild a squad from scratch, and that makes it all that harder when you're trying to bed in 7 or 8 players rather than 2 or 3 who would take you to that next level.
Absolutely. Great points from both. We're going to now go over to Lennart Sorwald, who is a Stuttgart podcaster, and we're just going to hear what he had to say about the Celtic and Stuttgart game. Joining me now is Lennart Sorwald, who is a Stuttgart blogger and podcaster. Hello, Lennart. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thanks.
Of course, yeah. It's great to hear from you. Obviously, a huge game in our season. Stuttgart, how are Stuttgart going this season? How's your season panning out?
pretty good. Last year we had a strong start to the season. We were fourth in February, and then we lost to Paris in the Champions League, and then we just dropped off to ninth, but we won the cup at least. So we returned to Europe this year, and it's been pretty good. We're sitting in fourth right now, so we are right on course for the Champions League, on the cup semifinals, and now, of course, for the first time since 2013, we have a knockout game in Europe. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's kind of been a while for us. I did something for your blog, and you asked about the last time Celtic had a knockout tie that we won, and it was 20 years ago. So yeah, a bit of kind of, the fact that Stuttgart haven't, had a knockout tie since 2013. How has your European kind of run been this season? Has it been an enjoyable watch? Has it been a struggle? How's it been?
It's been pretty good. We lost against FC Basel on match day 1, which we shouldn't have because they weren't that good or as good as we thought they were. But we just weren't very clever, so we lost 2-0. Then we won at home. Oh no, the first game was against Celta de Vigo, which we won at home. Then we won against Feyenoord. We won at Deventer. We lost to Roma, and we lost at Fenerbahce as well, and we beat Maccabi Tel Aviv, and I think that wraps it up. And I'm missing one. Oh yeah, we beat Bern, Young Boys Bern, the last game. We were 2-0 up, and then we conceived the equalizer, and then we had the 3-2 winner very late in the game. So it's been pretty good. We probably could have done better. I mean, you don't have to win in Rome. You don't have to win at Fenerbahce necessarily, but you need to beat Basel.
Yeah.
So we could have gotten into the top 8 and could have avoided this tie. But on the other hand, I'm happy it panned out to be a game against Celtic and not at Razgrad in Bulgaria.
Yeah, I can imagine. In terms of, well, obviously that's. How are Celtic perceived at the moment in Germany? Like, as a Stuttgart fan, you said you're probably happier with us than other teams. How are Celtic perceived from a kind of club perspective at the moment?
Well, of course, it's a big traditional club. Everybody. If you think about Scottish football, everybody thinks of Celtic, and of course the other club in blue. Yeah. But of course they're one of 2 big Scottish clubs, and the older fans remember the UEFA Cup tie in 02-03. 02-03, I think it was like February 2003. And of course we've heard about Celtic Park, and it's regarded as a very traditional, a big club, not in terms of not in the footballing terms necessarily, because of course we see that you
struggling,
don't get very far in European competition, but still, I mean, a trip to Glasgow, a trip to Celtic Park, just in terms of the away day experience, was just perfect for so many fans, because we've been away from Europe for so long. We went out against Rome, Lazio in 2013, and then we just dropped down the league, got relegated twice, and to return to Europe the season before last, when finishing second, it was just huge for us. And many younger fans, they don't even know or didn't know what it's like to be in Europe. So we've gotten used to it a little bit. But we still look at European ties, and especially one like this. I mean, of course, Razgrad, they're also, they can also be in the playoff round. But I think all of us would rather go to Glasgow than to fly to Bucharest and then try to get a bus into Bulgaria somewhere. No offense towards Razgrad, but I think it's just a great name, Celtic. So yeah, we're all really looking forward to the game on Thursday and next week, the home tie.
Great stuff. In terms of how Stuttgart's set up, what is your kind of style of play? How are you going to approach it?
Well, we're probably gonna attack really early. I think especially when we are away, we're trying to get a good result in as quickly as possible. We have very good strikers in Dennis Undav. He came to us from Brighton. two seasons ago, where it didn't really work out for him, and then he scored loads of goals the season before last year, not as many, and he's on I think 11 or 12 goals at the moment in I think like I don't know like 13. No, it's not that much. 20 appearances, but still, he's got a lot of goals. Dimirovic is pretty good. Angelo Stiller, you might have heard, he's also played for the German national team. The Stuttgart players kind of fell out of favor with the
national team.
with Julián Araujo after last season, so there aren't as many national team players, but still, they're pretty good. And we want to have the ball and control the game, and try to find spaces to put the ball through. So that's going to be us. We're not going to sit back. Probably, I hope we're not going to sit back, and we're definitely not going to park the bus in front of our goal. That's not the style of Sebastian Hoeneß. But we try to be active. We try to score early. But we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, we tend to dominate the ball domestically. Obviously, it's a different story in Europe. So you're just going to attack us from the first whistle?
I think so. I mean, of course, there's lots of respect. It depends on how good the team exercises what the coach wants. I mean, we played Cologne on the weekend, and we had first chance of 70 seconds, and then we scored with a 1-0 after 15 minutes. And then we the level just dropped off, so they could score an equalizer. So sometimes we feel too safe with a lead, or think, okay, it's gonna be good. Although we haven't played a knockout tie in over a decade. And I mean, of course, we had the relegation playoffs in 2023, but it's also different. You play a second Bundesliga team. We beat Hamburg back then 3-1 and 3-0, so it's different,
Yeah.
But of course, if you're only 1-0 up and you don't have the away goal rule anymore and nothing like that, I don't think they're going to sit back. But on the other hand, you don't want to conceive an equalizer. So we'll be active.
Yeah.
Maybe not right from the start, but we'll try to score a goal early and not necessarily wait. I don't think so.
In terms of I say one of Celtic's biggest weaknesses. We've got a few at the moment because we're still kind of, we've had an odd season for three different managers. But one of the big concerns we have as supporters is, set pieces, free kicks, corners, and stuff like that. What would you say your kind of Stuttgart's weaknesses would be, or are a weakness that Celtic could exploit?
Well, a weakness you could exploit in defensive terms are set pieces. We're crap. We're totally crap at it. I mean, I think we scored the last goals after set pieces were an own goal by Mönchengladbach, I think it was, and in the cup we scored a goal after a set piece, but it was really just the class of Dennis Undav rather than us being very, very good at it. We seem to have problems with getting back after an attack. So I don't know what the English term is. In Germany, we call it Restverteidigung. So if you press high and then you lose the ball.
Transitions?
Pretty much. So we conceived some goals that we shouldn't have against Frankfurt. For example, we led them 2-1, and then we had a goal on the counter-attack where we just pressed way too high up, and just conceived a goal. And there were a couple like those. If we try to minimize that, it's sometimes that we're too fearful when playing in attack, when we have an opponent that sits very deep in his own half, and we try to play the safe pass so as not to lose the ball and conceive a counter attack. So that is a weakness, and I think we're just not that experienced in those games. I mean, I had a discussion on Twitter, I think, about that same topic, because I mean, Celtic is much more experienced in high profile games. I mean, we had this team has won one cup final, but against the third tier team, or team that was promoted to second Bundesliga right before the cup final. And we haven't had many of these games where it's like all or nothing. Of course, we had intense, very important Bundesliga games, but it's like one game at the end of the season that decides if you go one place, finish one place up or one place down. And I think Celtic is much more used to those kinds of games, having won several cup finals and league cup finals you name it. So I think this might be a weakness that we have, that we're just not. I mean, it's the second season in Europe in a row, but we still don't. Yeah, I don't know if it's the experience or just the cool mindedness. I think, I hope not, but I could imagine us making mistakes like in a high profile situation, but maybe not. I mean, we beat Leverkusen at the beginning of the year 4-1 with 4 goals in the first half. So you never know. The team has to be there and know what the game is about. And if they do, I'm pretty comfortable. But if they don't, it's going to be tough, especially in Glasgow and at home as well. But yeah, they just have to have the right mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the tie, the Bundesliga tie in between, is that something? Do you think? Obviously, Celtic, this European tie, does that take priority over the Bundesliga tie at the weekend, or would you put priority on both, depending on how the first leg goes?
Well, we have a pretty broad squad, so I think Sebastian Hoeneß is going to rotate for the game on Sunday against Heidenheim. They're in last place.
Yeah,
in Germany, haven't won a game for 2 months, but of course that's the big that's a problem as well. If you think, okay, we can just rotate the squad and we're going to win this anyway. It's going to be tough, because those are the games there with the backs to the wall and have to win a game if they don't want to get relegated. But I think the emphasis will be on the 2 European Cup games. On the other hand, we can't afford to lose the game on Sunday, because it's supposedly an easy win.
Yeah,
and the goal is not necessarily to win the Europa League.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah, I know. And our Jamie Leveling, one of our wingers, when we celebrate the cup win in May, he was, of course, he was drunk, and he was on stage. Have you looked at the Europa League final? It's the 15th place team of the Premier League against the 17th place of the Premier League. You know what that means? We can win the effing Europa League. So of course he was drunk, but of course, it was on record. So now, but of course the main priority is to get back to Europe. I mean, we have an 11-point lead over the 7th place team, the team that wouldn't go to Europe. So it's pretty comfortable, but still, you have to win those games as well. I think the game will be hyped for those 2 games, and it's difficult to keep the balance between those 2 highlight games and then the rather boring but still necessary away game at Heidenheim, which is also not that comfortable. It's cold up there, and it's a small stadium, and
yeah. I mean, we've got a difficult game in between. We've got Hibernian at home, who are in the top 6, so we will be looking at it, and we've got a thin squad as it is, so it'll be interesting to see how we approach the second leg. If we're still in the tie, then I think we will go really going for it. If we're not in the tie, I think we could put out maybe a shadow side for the second leg. It just kind of, it depends on how it breaks, because we're really focused on the league at the moment. Who would you say, as we'll kind of round up, but who would you say your key player is in the team? Who makes the team tick?
I'd say it's Dennis Undav, because Angelo Stiller, he's very, very good, and he can play very decisive passes that just cut through your center backs, and he can decide the game. But he's not in a very good form. He's in okay form at the moment. But Dennis Undav is he's the vice captain, and he's just been carrying the team on his shoulders, basically. He was injured in sometime in the fall. When he came back since the beginning of November, I think he scored like 10 or 11 goals just since the beginning of November. And of course, he's very important for the team. But of course, he also had games like at St. Pauli last week where neither him nor Ahmedin Demirovic scored because St. Pauli was just very, very good at their defense. And then they scored a goal that just parked the bus and set it out basically. But yeah, I'd say Dennis Undav, but you still have to be wary of Angelo Stiller because he can control the game. But I think at the moment, Undav is more important and more dangerous for you.
Yeah, great stuff. Give us a prediction. How do you think this first game will go and the tie will go?
I'd have to make a prediction. I think we'll tie at Celtic Park. I think it's going to be 2-2 because we're going to have some defensive laps, and I think we'll win. It depends a little bit because we have Stiller, Undav, and somebody else with 2 yellow cards.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So depending how the game goes on Thursday, and I expect it to be rough because it's a knockout game. If they get through that game without a yellow card, I think we'll win the return game 1-0 in the 90th minute or something like that. It would be, of course, horrible for you, but yeah, I expect it to be that close. Yeah.
Great stuff. Well, what I would say is no matter who comes through this tie, no matter who wins, I hope they win the Europa League. How about that?
Yes, definitely.
Great stuff, Leonard. An absolute joy. Thanks very much. Enjoy the game when you get to it, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Great stuff from Leonard. Big Stuttgart fan. I think he gave us some really good insight. Martin O'Neill had a press conference today. We're not going to go through the whole press conference, but I'm just going to highlight some points. He will manage his 1,000th game tomorrow at 73. He was quoted as saying he was genuinely unaware of the milestone while thanking Celtic because otherwise it would not have happened. On the challenge of Stuttgart, O'Neill stresses, "This is a major test for us," and says you would have to go long odds on Celtic reaching the stage after their defeat by Midtjylland, a result he described as an eye-opener. He's keen to ensure their performance against Feyenoord and Bologna don't count for nothing, but O'Neill thinks this game will be the toughest Celtic test they've had this season. And while O'Neill's ranks have been boosted with several January arrivals, he says he's still learning about these lads in contrast to the UEFA Cup under 2003 when he knew his squad inside out. That I heard him speaking about that, and he was talking about that squad. He's like, I knew everything about them. I knew what they could do. I knew what they couldn't do. I knew exactly what I could get from them and what I couldn't. And Boud, he doesn't know that about this squad at the moment.
Only had somebody like John Kennedy there to tell him.
Hey! O'Neill was asked about talks between the club and the supporter groups with the Green Brigade still banned. He thinks there's been some progress. The sooner there is unity at Celtic Park, the better. O'Neill adds he has no doubts the crowd contributed to their fight back in Rugby Park. As we mentioned, the Green Brigade aren't getting in at the moment. The talks haven't been going well, and it doesn't look like anything's going to happen until the end of the season. So that's disappointing. But Barry, Celtic versus Stuttgart, obviously we were all there for the home game in 2003. 3-1. No Larsson, of course, famously.
Bloody Guspa Hoken.
Sorry?
Bloody Guspa Hoken doing his...
Oh, aye, that's right. His eye socket,
Livingston.
Kevin Kiranye scoring an absolute sensational goal.
Kalina.
Of course, yes. Yeah. Barry, Celtic versus Stuttgart tomorrow. Talk me through how you're feeling about it.
Quite nervous. Listening to Leonard, he kind of gave a really good insight, I thought, of the kind of strengths and weaknesses. It was interesting that he said that they are shit at set pieces. So,
yep.
Could be
a couple they'll be scoring against us to build up that confidence.
Yeah. And I think he mentioned the strikers at Undav, is that his name?
Yeah.
He looks brilliant. I know he was at Brighton and it didn't really work out for him, but he seems to score a lot of goals, big, physical, German internationalist, I believe.
I think I looked at it was 12 out of 18 in the Bundesliga, which is not too shabby.
That's it.
Wild.
And they're having a really good season as well. I didn't realise that they'd kind of gone through the tribulations that they had. I didn't know they'd been relegated twice recently and got back to Champions League football last year. So they do have a good pedigree. I always think German teams are they're always impressive, well organised. And then I think if we've got any chance to get a positive result, it will be tomorrow night, because you're hoping that, I know that the home support isn't the same without the Green Brigade, etc., and obviously the troubles we've had to seek this season, but O'Neill seems to find that extra something.
Magic.
And the results, I think Feyenoord shocked us all, and the performance, even with 10 men against Bologna, so there feels like there is something there. I just hope that we get the team selection right tomorrow and we have a really good go. The other thing that sort of terrified me though was when Leonard was saying about how they like to come out of the traps quickly.
Aggressive.
I was like, God, see if they get a couple of the old double tap in the first 10 minutes. It's
could be a long
good
night.
night. I was going to say Vienna, Stuttgart.
Bowdy, what's your vibe? What are you feeling about it?
Yeah, again, not overly optimistic, but hey, it's Parker's European night. Magic can happen. But yeah, we've been struggling to put away relatively poor domestic teams. So I think coming up against a pretty solid European team is going to be very difficult. It's not impossible. I think the lack of Ox is a slap to the face as well. But you never know. It's what it's all about.
So we're here. Come on.
Sorry to jump in, but the sort of jewel in the crown could be a certain Fozzie and his knowledge of German football.
Ooh.
Well, absolutely.
Cheeky.
Mark Fotheringham, of course, his real name.
Lennart also reminded me.
That was Fozzie's.
No, he reminded me of the fact that they pumped Tel Aviv, who obviously shouldn't be in the competition, but it's always nice to remember them getting smashed.
Scum. Just looking at I got some analysis from Lennart. So, comfortable playing out from the back. Angelo Stiller seems to be, I think, their metronome. The guy
Ben's boy.
Sorry?
Ben's boy.
Ben's boy, yeah, absolutely. Who...
It's rubbish.
Barry threw his hands up there in a very camp way. Rubbish. But no, Angelo Stiller seems to be the kind of... He described him as like a metronome. He dictates rhythm and looks for vertical passes through the lines.
Like a young Callum McGregor.
Like a young Callum. Early vertical passes into the striker's feet. Third man runs from attacking midfield. Strong use of half spaces rather than hugging the touchline. So it seems like it's going to be kind of direct and through the middle. Quick combination plays around the box. High press triggered by backward passes or loose touches. Liam Scales, be aware. Front four press narrow to block central passing lanes. Wingers tuck inside, forcing play towards the touchline traps. Defensive line holds relatively high. So he asked what the vulnerabilities were. And transitions, when they lose the ball high up the pitch, recovery runs can be slow. If the first press is broken, there's space between midfield and defence.
Yep. And set pieces.
Because they've got high defensive line, through balls and diagonal runs can hurt them. Set pieces, they're crap at. It could be like... So we're not great on transitions either. If we lose the ball high up, especially in Europe, people tend to break on us quite quickly. It seems like both these teams have a lot of similarities, with the exception that Stuttgart just seem to be scoring more goals from their strikers. Boud, when you look at this kind of lineup, do we have a lot of options in terms of that midfield? Obviously you've got Callum McGregor's going to play every game. Nygren? Benji?
Yeah, I think as much as I would love it if you do more, he scores goals all the time. We can't drop him. Top scorer by quite a distance.
We can't drop him because there's literally no one else.
Oh, well, there's that as well. Aye.
You're not playing McCowan.
No.
Well, you could, but
I can't.
Do we just play the Ox and take a 3-0 defeat?
Get him up to speed.
That might be the best option, to be fair.
But the midfield three, obviously, I think would be McGregor, Hatate, who's in a pretty terrible run of form coming off at half time.
You're forgetting about our boy Bernardo.
The ghost.
It's literally not been in the squads in last two games.
That's the speciality. Surprise European performance.
Remember in his first season that like Rodgers seemed to play him
All in the Champions League games, yeah. Up front, Barry, what are you thinking? What do you think the options will be for us?
I think you'll play Big Tam through the middle. I think you might move Dyson to the right and have Tanecki, or I know Dyson hasn't been too hot. Sorry, Boud, I know he's your boy, but
sorry, I can accept.
Potentially you go Yang, Tam, and Tanecki. But I think because of the skill set that Dyson has in Europe, you have to rely on what he's done for us. I know, like on form, you probably wouldn't play him, but I probably would go. I think Yang hasn't been as sparkling as he has been recently, so I would maybe go Dyson on the right, Tanecki on the left, and Tam through the middle.
And Justin Boud, what would you go
100%
with?
100% agree with that. Aye. And look, Yang's had little sparks this season, but a little bit off form just now. Dyson again's off form, but
there's no perfect answer, really, is there?
There isn't. But the running that Maeda can give you, the fact that in a night like this, I think there's a chance that we might see a good Maeda. I'm just kind of holding out for that.
You're holding out for a Maeda through the night?
Exactly. And you know what? Having options on the bench, it's wild. I know Celtic don't do that, but that's maybe the way we go. Yang's always there if one of them isn't performing.
See, if this team press high up, they push high up, and they're bad at transitions, I think Adamu, maybe not to start, but coming off the bench, you know, he seems to be hopefully quite pacey, balls in behind.
4-4-2, here we come.
Knows the German league as well.
Aye, that's it.
It's Big Tam, actually.
They're pals, aye.
These guys are done. Our team know them very well.
Yes. Here's a depressing stat to finish off. Celtic have won just one of the last 10 home games in the knockout rounds of major European competition. Drawn 3, lost 6. Losing each of the last 4 in succession while conceding 2+ goals each.
What was is it Zenit? Is it that far back?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Remember we played Valencia home and away just as before Rodgers left, and we absolutely fucking... Listen, look...
Aye.
There's lots going on. Obviously, from a Cynic perspective, we will have on Friday we'll have the weekend update where we will look back at the Stuttgart game and look ahead to the Hibs game. For the game against Hibs, we'll have a reaction podcast on Sunday. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've had 8 podcasts this week, 7 podcasts, 8 podcasts this week. It's usually 7 to 8 per week, so lots of podcast content. If you like Celtic, lots of different sort of formats. Check out thecynic.co. Drop us an email, editor@thecynic.co if you want any other information, or check us out on Patreon by searching for The Cynic. This has been an absolute joy, gentlemen. A pleasure. Barry, as before we finish up, before we end, give me a quick prediction about tomorrow.
I'm going to go 2-1 Celtic.
Love it. Great stuff, Barry. Bowdy, before we finish up, quick prediction.
I'll go 3-2 Celtic.
Love it. Excellent. I'll take any victory I can. Listen, pleasure. Chris Boud, thank you, sir, for getting involved.
Thank you for having me. Hail, boys.
Great stuff. Barry Gallagher, a pleasure as always.
Loved it. Sack the board.
Absolutely sack the board. From Chris Boud, from Barry Gallagher, from myself, Chris Gallagher, this has been the Cynic Weekly, and we'll speak to you down the road.
Julián Araujo with a spin across the face of goal. It's dropped invitingly, and it's slammed home.
I'm angry, aye, of course I am. I'm not quite sure whether 87 minutes for. I think you just make it up these days.
This is what Celtic's about.
But look at Celtic now! But look at Celtic now!
There's some spirit in the team, there's no question about that. And it's not just a fluke.
I'm angry, aye, of course I am. I'm not quite sure whether 87 minutes for.
And it's not just a fluke.
This is what Celtic's about. This is what Celtic's about.